So, how's it going, folks? This is Casper's Corner, and this is Table Talk. And we're about to have some real talk here because there's something that's been on my mind, and I'd love to get it out. And so I'm laying it at the feet of YouTube. And I really hope that you will chime in and engage in the conversation. And so, what this conversation is about today is the fact that I believe as parents, in this current time we find ourselves in, we are faced with a dilemma and the challenges that I just don't think the previous generations of parents were faced with. I think that this is unique to our time, and it is a struggle for parents today, uh, for sure. And what that is the fact that our children are growing up with the emergence of all of this technology. And with that, I get that, there's a lot of pros when it comes to technology, but there are many, many cons as well. And so that's what we're here to talk about today. Uh, I think as parents today, this conundrum that we find ourselves in surrounding smartphones is quite honestly a big pain in the ass. And it's a very, very difficult thing to navigate. Um, and I feel like we get cornered as parents. We get cornered because we're faced with this dilemma of, do we give our children these smartphones so that they can fit in, because everybody else, 99% of the kids out there have these things. And surely as parents, the last thing we want to do is create this environment for our children where they get singled out and, oh, you're weird, you don't have a phone, and just all the things, how ruthless and cruel kids can be. And the ones that stand out are the ones that, you know are different from the other kids. And believe me, today, if you don't have a phone, you're absolutely different. And so as parents, we don't want that. We don't want that for them. And so we get pushed into a corner and oftentimes cave, and we give them these phones that we're leery of giving them because we know what this means. We know what this represents. We understand by giving this to them, they now have access to the entirety of the information on the internet. And I don't think that that's meant for children and young youth. But again, we're faced with this dilemma, and many of us cave just because we don't want to put our children in those situations, where they're soloed out and singled out and look weird and different from the group. Uh, and listen, I try to teach my kids to be leaders and not followers, but this is just one of those things that you have to be able to relate to me on. With these smartphones, it's just, yeah, it's a tough one. And what we end up doing is we cave, and then we justify it by saying, well, they'll have communication, a direct line of communication with me. And, like my son, who is 13, is the only one at this point who has a smartphone. But, you know, he's a good kid. He's mature for his age, and, he's involved in sports. And so he's traveling and stuff. And so we want to stay in communication with him. And so, you know, we give it to him for that reason, and we justify it by that reason. And then, we try to mandate the times that he's allowed on it and all that. But then it's like, well, he's got an hour long bus ride to school because we live way out on a mountain. And it's like, well, he's bored. He wants to have it at school now so that he can, you know, he wants to have it at school so that he can then have it on the ride home on the bus ride, give him something to do. So then we end up caving to that. Next thing you know, these kids have it all the time. And if your children are like mine or my kid, this particular kid, his face is in it all the time unless you're like actively calling him out on it. But yeah, I just feel like we're in a unique situation as parents here, and it's very difficult. It's a very difficult challenge that we are faced with these smartphones. And aside from that technology, the smartphones, and how difficult that is, and trying to restrict the times and everything that they're allowed on it, and try and make sure that it's done in moderation and it's not, over consuming, you know, now we have the rise of AI to contend with. And that is a scary, scary thought as a parent, because I don't know what to make of it, honestly. I mean, I just listened to a podcast this morning and it blew my mind, and it was honestly heartbreaking. And what it was in regards to is the fact that there is a rise in number of youth who are committing suicide because of their interactions with AI. And that is a terrifying, terrifying fact. And I believe that the reason that this is happening is because, unlike our generation that grew up outside, interacting with people all the time, out playing until the streetlights come on, always interacting with people, socially interacting with people face to face, these kids, that's not how they're growing up. And many of them have very little exposure to that. And sorry, I was actually recording that on my phone, and my storage ran out. So here we are. I'm going to finish this up on here. Hopefully it's not too distracting that it switched. But the point of this is, folks, that these kids are yearning for that human connection because it's part of being a human being, and they're not getting it. And so they're turning to this AI. And when they do, this AI is leading them into a direction where, when they start having these talks and these thoughts about, should I end my life? AI is actually confirming to them these thoughts, and it's actually making it sound like it's going to be this poetic justice, for you to do this. For a child to end his life, it's poetic. Go out with a bang. I don't know if you've ever talked to ChatGPT, but as soon as I heard the testimonies from these parents that suffered this unbelievable, unimaginable loss in their life, I recognized immediately the way that thing was talking to these children, in the way that it was making it sound like it was this amazing thing that they were doing by taking their life. I could recognize right away how that was very I've utilized AI myself in different ways, and I could see the similarities in what they were saying from things that I've heard AI say to me. And so I recognized it immediately, and it was unbelievable. I couldn't even believe I couldn't even believe what I was hearing. And I can't imagine the pain of these parents that have suffered this fate of having their children and their own lives at the hands of AI. I mean, it is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. I mean, I don't know where the boundaries are when it comes to this. But when it comes to our children, man, we have to have our guard up fully all the time, and we have to recognize things for what it is. And yeah, I just think that as parents, we're faced with these issues that are profound, and they are only found in this current time. And so, as parents, as if it's not hard enough, at times to deal with just parenting in general, to have to deal with this whole beast alongside it, it's very, very difficult. And if you're like me, it really wears you down some days, you know, the fight with this whole thing. And, you know, I just wanted to open up the discussion about it. I just wanted to, just like I said, just lay it at the feet of YouTube to try and spark conversation around it, because I do believe that this is a critical topic to be discussing. And the one thing that we can all be united in is the fact that we are parents, all trying to look out for the best interest of our children, and we're all faced with this current paradigm around technology and what it means in our children's lives, and how to deal with it effectively, and to combat against the negative aspects of it, and to try and manage it properly. And so I think that we need each other in this, and that we should absolutely be having these discussions. And so that's why I created this video, and I hope that you will I hope that you'll comment and get into this conversation with me. I'm curious to see what you think. I'm curious to hear about how you handle it and some of the things that you've maybe dealt with. And, you know, just collectively, maybe we can help each other, and we can benefit from each other in our experiences. And so that's why I decided to create this video. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that, if nothing else, it's been thought provoking, and you know, maybe it'll stimulate something that you know, might help you with your parenting and how you deal with this. But that's really all I got for this one. Hit me up in the comments. Let's have a talk about it. That's all I got. Until the next one, Casper's out. Good luck, parents. I'm with you. Wish you luck.